When it's hard, that's when you should go all in. When it's difficult, that's when you should make a move for it. Listen, some of the most precious things in life come in disguise as painful. You have to learn to accept the pain. You have to learn to embrace the pain. You have to learn to love the pain. You have to learn to love the hustle, the struggle. It's all what you want. You know, I hear people say, oh, I want to be a billionaire someday. Oh, I want to be the most famous soccer player someday. I want to be the best basketball player someday. When people say those things, they have no idea what it is they mean by that. They don't know what they're asking for. Oh, you want to go to college? You want to get a 4.0 GPA? Do you know what that entails? Do you know what it entails? It entails hours of studying. Do you know what it takes to become the best soccer player in the world? It takes hours of practice every single day. Every day. Everything you do in your life that's what it's all about. Every second, every moment. Like, you are thinking about that constantly. And do you have the dedication to do those things? Whatever it is you say you want, are you acting as if that's what you want? You know? But people stop and they slow down when they see the hard things face them. Whenever they encounter the hard things, they just turn around and go the other way. You need to break through it. Smash through it. When it gets hard, that's when you should go for it. When it gets difficult, that's when real improvement happens. When it gets difficult, that's when change happens. If you see this girl that you've been wanting to talk to forever, and you get the opportunity to talk to her, why wouldn't you go up and speak to her? That is the opportunity. The difficulty, the nervousness, the anxiety. Like, that's what it's about. You have to learn to master those things. You have to learn to be willing to go through those things over and over and over and over and over again. Humiliation after humiliation, trial after trial, error after error. That's what it's about, man. This is what you asked for. This is what you asked for, wasn't it? I thought this is what you wanted. You can't say you want to be the best soccer player, and then when it comes time to train 4 hours a day, you're complaining. Isn't this what you said you wanted, bro? Like, that's what you want, right? Right? So act like it. Do the things required. Do the things required. It's not that hard. I mean, it's difficult, but it's not complicated. This is what you said you wanted. So when the hard things show up, do it. Still, even when it's hard. That shouldn't deter you. That shouldn't be deterrence. Like, that's what you want. And if you really want it, man, you'll go do it. That's the funny thing about life. The people who really want certain things, they get it. They get it. You have to want it. You have to need it. You have to desire it. You have to be willing to go through whatever it takes to get it. So when it gets hard, you won't stop. When it gets hard, you won't turn back. When it gets hard, you won't slow down. When it gets hard, you won't complain. When it gets hard, you'll go through it. And that's what it's about. And then you have much greater gratification at the end of it, because you know that even though it was difficult, even though the pain weeded out a bunch of your friends, even though the pain weeded out a bunch of the people you grew up with, even though it was difficult, you went through it. Even though it was difficult, you still succeeded. And that's what it's about. You have to do these things over and over and over and over and over and over again. Again and again and again, every single day. Again and again and again. Because that's what you want. This is what you said you wanted. You have to be willing to never give up. You have to be willing to do it again and again and again and again. That's what it's about. Yes, you're going to hear this repetition, because just as much as I repeat what I said again and again and again, that's how the difficult things will come. That's how hard things will come. And that is the same amount of perseverance and persistence you should have to overcome these things. Because if you don't, you won't achieve what it is you say you want. And I don't know if that's something you can live with. I know I can't. That's not something I can live with. I got to get it. I got to succeed, because I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I believe that fully. So when the hard things come, there ain't no room for complaining. There's no room for griping. There's no room for nonchalance. There's no room for neglect. It's time to get to work. This is what you want. And this is what you're going to get. Hey, if you signed up for it, man, don't complain when it comes. Don't complain when it comes. So when it gets hard, you push through. When it gets hard, you do the things you know you should do. When it gets hard, you remember your why. When it gets hard, you remember how you grew up. When it gets hard, you remember what happened when you were a child. When it gets hard, you remember your ambitions as a 6-year-old. When it gets hard, you remember how hard your parents fought. When it gets hard, you remember the hardships you went through when you were born. When it gets hard, you remember how you grew up. That's what it's about. Listen, life is real, and you have one. Not 2, not 3. You have one. And every day is the youngest day you'll ever be. Forever. Think about that. So when it gets hard, you don't stop. When it gets hard, you keep going. When it gets hard, you remember your dreams. When it gets hard, you keep chasing. When it gets hard, you subdue what's in front of you. When it gets hard, you beat that task into submission. That's what it means to be resilient. That's what it means to be successful, to go through hard things again and again and again and again, forever, until you die, for the greater good. That's what it costs to achieve something. That's what it costs to be great. And you have to believe that fully. You have to believe to your soul, as Ray Charles says. And you can't make a fool out of yourself. When it gets hard, you push through. Thanks for listening. See you on the next one.